before we get started, I wanted to make an announcement for Sherry, and what Pastor Brenda said about social media for dummies reminded me of that. That next month, the second Thursday of the month, which is WYOW, that's this, we will be doing a social media Q&A workshop. So you can come. The last blogging workshop that we had, we ended up with just so many questions that it inspired us to develop that as an actual event. So there's no real agenda. It'll be me, I'm a social media marketing executive, and Cheryl Hurley, who's our social media queen, and a third panelist to be announced, who will probably be more comfortable with the back end of that. So you can come with any questions you have about social, or even about your website, and we will answer those. And then we will also be starting a 6-month BOCI certified social media series in May of 2013. So every month we'll cover a different platform or aspect, and at the end of 6 months you will have the BOCI certification. So I think that, yeah, Pastor B is definitely going to be here. All right, so let's get started. Last time we talked about picking a name, how to decide where you want to host your site, and after 2 months, we still haven't gotten to actual writing of the content, because all of those things are so important. That's how people are going to find you. And if you're writing amazing things but people can't find you, there's no point. You're just, writing to yourself. So this month we are going to finish up with a little bit of that. And then we'll go on to the writing and the promotion. So instead of me just lecturing, what I really like to do is, anytime you have a question, please let me know. That's how you will learn, and how I'll know what you need to learn. So let's start with our static pages, and that means your blog will constantly be changing. Every time you post something, that page will refresh with new content. But you will have static pages on your blog or your website, and that really just means it never changes. It's something that is fairly stable about you, or for your website that you'll need. So I feel like every business and every blogger needs 2 static pages, and that's the about page and the contact page. So it just depends on what you're doing. Like, on my blog, I have several other static pages because I have other things that I'm explaining, I'm promoting. But at the very baseline, I recommend that you have those 2 static pages in addition to your blog page. So on the about page, your copy is actually really important, because you're trying to explain yourself in a way that people understand, and it's very traditional marketing. You're trying to get them to understand that they have a need for your service. So you have to copy it. So title is Cheryl Hurley is a social media marketer. Cheryl has been working in this industry for 4 years. She specializes in visual businesses. She really likes Pinterest and basketball. So what you're doing here is explaining what you are, what's your experience, what's your specialty, and sometimes the most important part is something personal about you, because that's what social media does. It allows us to get connected with businesses and other people that we otherwise wouldn't know that well. Like, one of my favorite social media profiles is Outback. Of all Twitter profiles out there, they will tweet me, they will send me pictures, just crazy stuff, and I feel like someone at Outback is like talking to me, and so we go there more. It's very strange. But because of, that's what we have to offer with social media, and blogging is social media. So remember these 4 things. All right. So since this isn't a lecture and it's a workshop, let's go around and write our little example about pages. So that'll be, if you just work for yourself and you're just a solopreneur, that's typically your name, what you are, what you do, what you're explaining in this blog, in this website, how long you've been doing it, what your specialty is, or what makes you different, and then finally something that's about you it doesn't have to be relevant, but something that allows me to kind of see who you are. So who wants to start? Everyone has to do it, so might as well do it now.
Oh dear. Good question on number one. On the what are you? Oh, how do you choose to use what instead of who?
Well, who are you is defined by what are you, how long have you been doing that, what's that thing that's a personal thing about you, and what's your specialty. So this really is who are you. All four of them combine to be who you are. But what you are, you can kind of go back and forth. What I do isn't what I am, but in general, what is it that you're explaining that you do on this page? So when I'm writing on my social media blog, I say I'm a social media marketer. On my other blog, I say I'm a lifestyle blogger and a social media marketer. So whatever is relevant. Do you want to start, Melinda?
No. I'm listening right now.
I'll take a shot since I'm here for dummies, okay? I'll say that BW Burnett is an entrepreneur and a communications and energy service provider. My experience is of 5 years of helping people save money on their communication services as well as their energy services. And in addition to that, we offer the opportunity for anyone to actually receive income back from the bills that they pay each month. We're specialists in what we do. We've been in business since 2001. And we work with any small, medium, and large company. We recently saved one business $1.5 million annually on their utility bills. And I love what I do in that it gives me the flexibility and freedom to manage my time as I so choose.
Great. That was very good. Okay. So you covered all 4 points. And I would definitely recommend, if this is the only static page that you have, then you covered it all.
Okay.
You covered what you do, and you really conveyed the passion behind it, that you're really excited about saving these businesses money. So when you convey that, I feel like I trust you. And then, or something else. Well, anyway, that was good.
Okay.
So, who else? Jan.
Hi, because I always go with, my name is Gina Davis. I am a building better relationship expert. I've been doing send out cards for 4 years, and I specialize in helping small business with their customer follow-up and families get their digital images into print. And I really love fashion.
That's good. Yeah, I love that personal touch at the end. It has nothing to do with your business really, other than that visual eye, but I love fashion, and now we have something we can talk about together.
Right.
So good. Who's next?
I have a question, because one of the things that I'm struggling here with is branding personally, not necessarily a product. But the passion is, yes, the product helps my overall mission, but there may be other things that come along that may balance that in addition to the Plexus. So how would you, if you're going to do this, starting with that, would you, my focus, and I guess this is, and I don't know that I'm say this out loud. I have met so many people who are in direct sales, and number one, I came in direct sales not ever being in direct sales again, so I kind of came in without any blinders on, But I see people that get married to, and I'll use Mary Kay as an example, and I'm thinking, I don't want my identity to be a product. So, how would, I mean, and I think a lot of people are gonna struggle with that.
Yeah,
It's kind of like, it's kind of like looking at my job is this, and I work for this company.
Right.
And what happens when you don't work for that company anymore?
Gina, did you have something?
Yeah, well, I kind of what she was talking about, I want to comment on. So, one of the processes that I went through was defining what my who, what, and why was, which I'm sure, and what you do, what most everybody does, if they're with another organization, that's one of the things that they ask you to define, which all kind of falls into this. So I just pulled everything from my who, what, and why in and filled that out. And you have to really dig deep to figure out what that why is and figure out, because that why is where you're going to find your brand. To me, that's where you're going to find your brand, your why. So
That's a great point, definitely.
Yeah.
So on that note,
You may try.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. Give it a
All
try.
right. I'm Melinda Reed, and I have been working in the retail industry for the last 20 years, bringing new products to market. So I have had an opportunity to see the progression of something new and how consumers use that. What I found in my personal life was that I needed a new product. I needed a hope and an opportunity to get healthy. And when I found that, I also found my passion of wanting to share that with other people. By meeting other people and seeing their experience with it, I have now found that it tremendously helps people who are diabetics. And that really fell into a passion for my life, because I'm a cancer survivor, and I also became a kidney donor. And once I became a kidney donor, it was because my brother was a diabetic. And so when I meet people who are diabetics and I look at, their life experience and the health issues that will follow years to come if they don't have an opportunity to make a change. And so this is really my passion for blogging and teaching people that there is hope.
That's good. Yeah, the passion again is definitely conveyed. One suggestion I would make is, right after you state your name, I would define what you're branding. So
Okay.
Are you a health coach? Are you a weight loss specialist? What is it? Define that. And
Okay.
that should be independent of Plexus Slim.
Okay.
It should be, if you and Plexus Slim have flying out for, whatever reason, you would still be that. Or if you're not, you would do something
The
different.
life coach then?
Yeah, I mean, I would define it a little bit more, because that can be so vague.
Okay.
But I would definitely think about what is it that you're offering?
Okay.
Why would people go to you? And as soon as you can define that, put it right after your name, and then you can go into the experience. So people don't have to, you want them to know straight off, oh, okay, that's what she's doing.
Okay.
And now I can learn a little bit about her and what the passion is. Because if you make them read the whole thing to learn what you're doing, people
So
are
tell that right up front.
right.
Okay.
People are very lazy.
So
everybody.
So basically, you would go right into, at this point, the company.
Well, what I would say is, Melinda Reed is a weight loss and health specialist. Having been in retail for 20 years, blah, 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 blah. So that you're stating your purpose, and essentially your conclusion
Okay.
at
Right
the
there.
beginning.
Okay.
It's like all those standardized tests, like the format is very, like the introduction explains the conclusion, and then, just goes from there.
Okay.
So provide an outline for your readers to know, fairly straight off the bat what you do and who you are.
Cheryl, hi, this is Deborah Norwood, Laughter Lawyer. I think one of the things that we all have to understand that Cheryl really hit on is the philosophy and the understanding that people make evaluative judgments within the first 20 seconds of seeing you, and then you've got about a window of opportunity of 1 minute to make them trust and believe in you. There are studies done about doctors that say that within the first 3 minutes of meeting your doctor, you've decided whether you're going to listen to him or not. And that's because the first 20-second presentation he gave to you, you know, whether he showed he was harried or worried or, you know, not quite focused on you, immediately established whether or not you trust him. And then the next 3 minutes of what he said to you evaluates whether or not you even want to be involved in him. So what Cheryl is absolutely invaluable in helping you become concise and precise about who and what you are. And you're establishing a trust relationship in almost an instantaneous moment in their brain. So to talk too much, to get too verbose, or to wander off into another subject that doesn't have to do with your business or what you're focusing on will confuse people.
Definitely.
And
So
I
you're
think
saying
also,
shorter
I think also
paragraph.
as we become more media oriented, and Cheryl, you probably know more about this than anyone, and as the younger generation really talk and think and speak in 7-minute increments, because that's when commercials come on, you know. So we need to really be aware that we're in a time frame of establishing trust and communication.
That's a great point. So yeah, I would definitely, you can explain a lot of backstory in your blog. I mean, that's absolutely what it's for.
Okay.
But in your about page, it's like on Twitter, you have a bio and you have 140 characters. But if you can explain who you are, what you do, and why in those 140 characters, you will immediately win people over because they'll understand you and they'll feel like they know you already. So what Deborah said is definitely spot on. You have a very small amount of time. But on that note, you were asking about smaller paragraphs.
Because sometimes you see things when you go to websites and it's like whole page and you're reading all that.
Yeah, you know, I go back to my technical, not technical, but like my, you know, literal writing days where it was very, you know, this many sentences per paragraph and then blah, 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 blah. You know, if it's a long sentence with like 2 independent clauses, that's a paragraph. When it's broken up, people feel like they're getting somewhere, I guess. But when I see a huge block of copy, I'm just like,
How can I read this?
right, and I mean, I'm a writer. If I'm feeling that way, imagine what other people are feeling like. So that's a great point for your about page and your blog. Keep the paragraphs themselves shorter, definitely. It makes it easier on people to read. Did you have a question?
No, I'm good.
Oh, okay.
I was ready to start when you were.
She's gonna go.
Oh, okay. Do you have a question?
Well, I have a comment.
Okay.
Had you not put these 4 points up on the board, I probably would just give you a lot of vowels, consonants, and syllables about what I do. So this helped me
Great.
a bit, you know, to condense a very short statement of who I am, what I do, and what's my specialty. So that really helped.
Great, I'm glad.
Okay, so this dummy's learning something.
Did you want to go?
Okay. My name is Wyvonia Woods Harris. I am a transformed and transitioned RN of 44 years with a specialty in oncology. I'm also a faith community nurse, a healthcare community advocate, a speaker, an author, and a clinical research coordinator. My love at this time in the transition is that I am an ordained minister and working with health and healthcare. My sweet memory is that I am a mother of 3 children, and personally, my last child will celebrate her 48th birthday on St. Patrick's Day.
All right.
Wow. That's good. It definitely conveys not only the RN side of you, but the faith side of you. And the people that are interested in that will immediately understand and feel like they know you. So that's including those 2 things in I wouldn't say that they're separate, but you do individual aspects of yourself and put them together. So good. Does anyone else want to go?
Okay. I'm Brenda Green, type 1 diabetic for 24 years. Well, basically, I should probably put weight loss specialist with Visalis Sciences with the mission of wiping out obesity in the world. type 1 diabetic for 24 years, using exercise and food choices to stay healthy. We help people meet their physical and financial goals through a 90-day challenge. And my love for dogs, my children tell me I love my dogs more than I love my children. And I've had dogs since I was 5.
Good, that's good. I also have dogs, and I immediately want to tell you that. You know,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I can't wait for her to stop talking so I can tell her about my dog.
I know, and I'm sitting here, she's talking about dogs, and I'm like, how many pictures have you seen? Oh, this is my dog.
I know. Yeah, so that's good. I mean, it's amazing how something so, as humans, if we didn't band together, we would not survive, you know, many, many, many moons ago. And we still have that, and social media can be a way for us to really be social. And that's a lot of what I do is use social media to bring people together instead of use social media to use social media, if that makes sense. So it may seem off topic, but you're branding yourself, so it's about you. It's not. So good. I've definitely put the definer and your mission statement. That's very powerful.
Okay.
So I would put that first, and then
Okay.
go back and explain a little bit about why and the details of it.
Okay.
So it's good.
So using social media to be the alpha of the pack?
That's my
Concept.
personal goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that terminology, alpha of the pack. That's really actually pretty good.
Yeah. I do like that.
I'll do it so you can take it. My name is Kay Geller. I am a freelance writer. I have been writing either journalistically or in corporate communications or nonprofit publicity for about 35 years. My specialty is my ability and willingness to discuss with the potential client exactly what they need and come up with whatever. After I win the Powerball, I'm gonna spend the money traveling the whole world.
So you really love travel.
I do.
Yeah.
Now that would make me want to jump up and say, hey, yeah, let me talk about travel with you.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Great. So exactly, you guys are definitely understanding the 4 main points here. Does anyone else want to?
I just a couple of weeks ago, I had to write a bio for the Invaluable website, and it's really hard to write about yourself and to keep it short. And I went to it this morning to kind of help me through this. And I have Janet is an independent stylist for MG Ballard Designs. My experience started 35 years ago as a professional model and the certification in fashion merchandising. My specialty is empowering and inspiring women to have self-confidence that comes with defining their own distinctive image and style. And personal is I'm a mother of 3, grandmother of 4, and I love to travel, and I love to write poetry. I have poetry that I wrote in high school, and that's been almost 40 years ago, and coming forward, so I love writing poetry.
Great. That reminded me of something. I don't know if because we're you know talking to one another about ourselves, you would do this on your page. But one thing that I definitely recommend, this is a small thing, but talk about yourself in the 3rd person, like the whole way through.
I was just fixing to ask
On
that, 'cause I was
your
looking
about
at
page or
somebody.
all?
On your about page, just your about page, yeah.
Because I was just reading somebody's that I am tied to, and I thought, well, you know, he starts out with his name.
Yeah,
write
I would
the
think
person.
I have, so yeah.
Right. I would definitely do that.
That's an example. I don't follow.
It would be Cheryl Hurley is a social media marketer. She has been working in this industry for 4 years. She specializes in visual business, and she really loves.
On the page,
Right.
not when you're.
Right, just the about page. Right, just this static page that we're talking about. It sort of conveys a more professional tone, like you didn't even write it, which is good. Because that means you have people writing it for you, and everyone wants in place. Well, not everyone, but.
It's like someone's introducing you.
Exactly.
But
exactly.
you also don't want to have she has for every sentence. I know in writing, you want to change up with what you start with, because that makes it more interesting.
Yeah, so if you could say, Melinda Reed has been worked in retail for 20 years and loves whatever, you know, just so that you can keep the same subject, but continue to describe, so that it's not that I am this, I am that, I am doing this, I am going here, I am, you know, repeating that constantly, because you really want to, you're conveying yourself with your writing. So you have to make sure your writing is good, which is not what everyone, you know, really loves, but especially on the About page.
But I was gonna say, because I was just looking, and here's an example, you know, it's something that is written on this person's page and says, "Johnny, you have done us proud, the mark of greatness is upon you." And it's a quote, by, you know, somebody famous that knows him.
Mm-hmm. Right, yeah, that's definitely good though. Is like a testimonial?
It's just, it's his
Just
about
like
on Facebook.
Okay.
You know, then it goes into telling, you know, he's the president, CEO, inspirational speaker, motivator, sales trainer.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah.
And Cheryl, I wanted to,
Because I always look and say, okay, if I know who I listen to,
Mm-hmm.
and if I go look at what they're doing and model mine after
Right.
somebody who has a lot more experience than me.
No need to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
Really not.
you, on your page, on your blog page, you blogged us as the members. So what I did is I actually tagged the information that you had written and sent it out as a Twitter and also Facebook and Google, and used it as a way to introduce people to the fact that I'm gonna do the retreat and that I'm gonna do it. So actually you had made everything perfect up there, and all I did was tag it and say, this is from my S-Fam, and that sister friend and mentor. So, and it worked out. The people said, well, what, you know, who wrote that for you? And you had a picture and everything was there, so it made it easy in order to introduce myself to people that did not know me.
That's really interesting you said the picture. But yeah, I mean, blogging can really be, if you read my blog, if you read like 5 entries, you'll know me. I mean, I'm not gonna say I get more complicated than that. You will know me from that, and it's a great way to introduce yourself to people, and to introduce other people, you know. That's a great point. And it reminds me of Google authorship, but I don't know if we have time for that today. And just as an aside, most everyone in this room would start a blog for their business. But if you're starting a blog just to blog, then the structure is a little looser, because, you know, unless you're trying to get somewhere with your blog, if you're trying to become like the #1 DIY mom or something, then that's really strong branding. But if it's just your personal blog, all of this is a little more lax. You can get a little more creative with it. So just keep that in mind. It's not as strict for a personal blog. Okay, so does anyone have any questions, or do we want to move on?
Well, I just have a comment. She just asked me to pull up your SQ Modern Media page. So I think you actually got an about on your actual business and an about you. So that's pretty cool.
Right.
I never really noticed that before.
Right, I try to brand SQ as an agency, which it totally is, and I have people that work for me, but I don't have like employees,
Right.
You know, I don't have like an office where I have full-time employees, but that's what I'm going for. Like, that's what I want eventually. And even if I didn't, I want to brand like, this isn't just me working from home, because as soon as you convey that, people don't take you as seriously. They think, oh, she's just doing this for fun, but that's not the case. So I do think it's important to explain your business. And if you're explaining your business and then you're explaining yourself, you're gonna have a lot less that you have to explain that's not necessarily relevant about yourself in your about page, because you've already explained it about your business. So that's a great point. And yeah, I would definitely recommend to explain your business. It all depends on the kind of blog that you're creating, and if you're putting your blog on your website, then you probably already have that information. Every case will be different, but yeah, Gina made a great point that I definitely separate those two things, so that I'm not, my business is me, but that's not all that I am, if that makes sense.
Well, it's kind of, you gotta think about sets, you know, your business is, you're in your business, but your business is not in you.
Right, right, exactly. You can take the girl out of Kentucky. Okay, well, let's take a few minute break. And Deborah, do you wanna, after Deborah makes an announcement or has her little thing, and then we'll take a break for a few minutes.
Well, thank you very much, Cheryl. That's amazing. We now know why we need you so much. I'd like to welcome all of you once again to Business Over Coffee. I have a testimonial of how wonderful this company is. We want to remind you the 4 mores for business enhancement, and that's that Business Over Coffee involves connections, collaborations, exposure, and business. Good job, everybody. Good job, everybody. And we really are bringing everybody together, and we really do have an amazing array of resources available for all those who would like to become members of Business Over Coffee. For those of you who are new to us, I would like to remind you that we do have a wonderful membership program. We've got some flyers that we've passed out, and what's most amazing is what we have in store for you for the month of March. So we do have some flyers here. I want to remind you a little bit. There should be a flyer just like this, and if you haven't got one, we'll pass it around. It gives us the schedules for the month of March. March is going to be an amazing month. It's already started out being an amazing month, and we're now here on the 2nd Thursday. We want you to note that Wednesday, March 20th is going to be a really great event. It's the BOCI SunTrust Business Luncheon at Fleming's Steakhouse in Memphis, and it's free of charge with lunch provided. The education will be information on taxes and the economy, and all attendees need to set up a complimentary profile. So let's remember that. For those of you who want to know about the complimentary profile, we have it available for you at www.businessovercoffee.biz, and make sure to RSVP to attend that event. It's going to be an amazing event. We've already had one prior to this, extremely successful. There we go. We have a testimonial right here.
It was an amazing event.
It was a great event.
Too.
Yes, great event. And so we also want to remind you that the 3rd Tuesday, March 21st, is going to be the Click and Connect with Bob Burke. Oh my gosh, you guys, this is going to be so exciting. I want to see big smiles on your faces on this one, because Bob Burke is one of the best-selling author of Go Giver, and he's going to join us virtually, and we're hoping to have a really full crowd that day, and it'll be our in-house event. And then the 4th Thursday in March is March 28th, and that'll be our BOCI Share with Carolyn Bendel, and she always has wonderfully enlightening business topics. The last time we had the film industry presented from Memphis, and I think it was one of those just really enlightening events. So let's remember these wonderful events that are coming up in March. I am Laughter Lawyer USA. My name is Deborah Norwood, and what I do is I help professionals in high stress situations, high stress companies, to help learn how to de-stress through 3 different ways. One, by reframing their thinking, another by creating a mindful attitude, and thirdly, by restructuring their image. And the way I do it is through positive activity interventions and therapeutic laughter. And the reason that I feel that I have something valuable to contribute is that I am a mother who has raised 7 children, 3 of which were special needs. I have a 92-year-old mother who lives at home with me still, and she also has tremendous challenges with Alzheimer's. And I'm also a practicing attorney. So I think I have a little bit of knowledge about stress and how to relieve stress. And so what I'd like to do today is give you what I call the 3-minute Laughter Lawyer moment. And I want to thank BOCI, and I have a testimonial of what BOCI can do for your company because of what it did for me. I came through to BOCI because of a good friend and partner of mine named Carolyn Bendel. Carolyn Bendel introduced me to BOCI. BOCI had me interview all of those of you who become members of BOCI will be
Professional
members of BOCI will have the 4 options that are found for you. You will have a radio interview. You may be interviewed on BOCI TV. You know, there's some options that you may have as a business member that are absolutely invaluable. And so that's exactly what happened to me. I got to become a business member. I was interviewed. After my interview, I was put on BOCI TV. BOCI TV had the commercial appeal present. The commercial appeal became interested in my company, and I had an article in the commercial appeal. Thanks to Virginia, who is here at Ridgeway Business Center, and I want to remind you that the Ridgeway Business Center has a 10% discount for all of those who want to create a virtual office right here, and they are a very wonderful business partner with BOCI. So because of the Ridgeway Center, because of Carolyn Bendel, because of BOCI, my company got on the forefront in the newspaper. And I do have a testimonial that this is a place to be if you want to start on the right foot to get yourself not only in a face-to-face contact with people, but also on the web. Now, to speak a little bit about my 3-minute moment, I first of all want to remind you that we also have a cruise coming up. For those of you who don't know about this, this is going to be an amazing event in February of 2014. We want to remind everyone that you need to sign up. Read the fine print on the brochure here, but this cruise is going to be a remarkable event. I think we have a deadline, however, that we need to start meeting, and I believe it's March 20th to get our deposits for this cruise. There will be great speakers on this cruise, including Sherry Hanley, and I don't have the list of everyone that's going to be on here, but it should be here, and yours truly will also be a little small segment of the event as well. So do look at this cruise as a possibility for your future. And last but not least, I want to remind you that this beautiful woman who's been training us today is an invaluable member of BOCI. If you want to become a part of the member blog program and take your business to the next level with a professional blogger, she has a monthly blog, and what she says is, I will turn whatever is in your head into a blog. That's what she told me. So you've got the fee schedules here. Please look at this. You've got a twice monthly blog event. You've got $75, $150, a monthly blog event, which she'll post also with WordPress and Twitter. Please look over her wonderful assets. One of the great benefits of being a part of BOCI is that we have a lot of small business development for those of you who want to go from the ground floor up. And we even have, you know, our wonderful experts all around here to help you. My final thoughts. My final thoughts are, today when I was asked to do this, I was suddenly struck with the idea of flexibility. As laughter lawyer, I have to teach people mindfulness, you know, mindful attitudes so that they can de-stress. Now, one of the best ways to de-stress is to laugh. So right now, I want you to all shake your hands. Breathe in deeply. And exhale. And breathe in. And exhale. Now I want you to just laugh silently. Very good, very good. I want to remind you that your body has to create a mood for your eyes and your mind to be able to reach up to. And one of them is by a smile. If you really want to meet people, if you really want to do what Cheryl is telling you to do in that, building trust, before you go anywhere, do some laughter exercises and smile for a minute like this. You will actually be creating some serotonin and some lifting up your brain to where when you walk into a room, your eyes and your face will match, okay? And all of us have burdens, don't we? I was thinking about one of the things that we teach in our Laughter Lawyer presentations from the World Laughter Tour. We have a thing called Good Heart Living Attitudes, and Tuesdays are for flexibility. Now today's not Tuesday, but today I had to be a little flexible because I had to do this presentation and I wasn't, in my opinion, completely prepared for it. So I started thinking, you know, it's really funny
We in the business world think we can be and should be indispensable. We think that our business is the best and we are the only ones who can do it. But in reality, what we should be trying to become is invaluable. Because invaluable means that we can't be replaced because of the value that we personally give to something. We are all indispensable. I want you to know that we can be thrown away in a minute. Our life can end in a second. Our families can go through tragedies. And as I've had to experience just recently in my life, things can end very quickly. But to become invaluable means that we're part of a team. And to be part of a team, one of the requirements that Steve Wilson, a great psychologist of many, many years, has said, in a marriage, for example, it's almost a moral obligation to be cheerful. So to be part of a team and to be invaluable, it's also important to be cheerful. Now I want you to know that there is one person in the BOCI team that I have found to be extremely invaluable. It's a person who is flexible, who has helped us in this company, and who has managed to lift us all to a higher level with her expertise, and that's Cheryl Hurley. So, with no further ado, let's go back to Cheryl.
I was not expecting that at all. All right, well, let's take a short break, just like 3 to 5 minutes, and then we'll come back and finish up.
Okay. Since I got here tardy, I may have missed this. What's the password for Wi-Fi?
It's do Linksys, and there won't be a password. That'll be the best one to get connected.
Thank you.
For those of you who also need some information, we do have on our board some of the information on Twitter, how to set up our complimentary profile, and the Facebook pages.
Password for getting on the internet. There is none, just go to
Excuse me, would you repeat that name one more time? I just got hit with a dozen.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Linksys, L-I-N-I.
I found it.
Okay.
Thank you.
What I'm going to do is just use what you just did. Take it on UStream.
We're passing out flyers for those of you on the 3 subject matters that we've been talking about.
Okay. That's all right.
Yeah, that's a good
I
note.
tried that, the drink.
Yeah.
Powder. It was actually really interesting. It was kind of cool.
Oh, yeah, we was like, I was so tired on Monday, I couldn't think.
Did you guys get good business stuff?
We got.
That's great. You had a nice setup. You had a good location right there in the corner. Oh, wow.
But, we got.
I put yours.
Oh, thank you.
You're
One of
welcome.
the things that we got was.
Just take one of each, I guess. Coffee cup.
So, that's all. And we got another.
Thank you. That's really good.
Okay, there you go. So, yeah, it was, I was, you know, and for all of it to be new to me, as far as like, okay. I mean, I've been doing trade shows in, you know, Las Vegas and Chicago, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, so I you know, understand what they're doing, but, so, yeah, it's just a different, I guess what I've moved from is, I've moved from talking to buyers, who know their customers can come into stores, to eliminating all the middlemen, because now you're talking to, you know, actual consumers. So, you know, I'm gonna run late.
All kinds of business, and then there are some things that I do personally, because I love to give just to help you, and a lot of things are nice and usually make it. Yeah. I like to make it because it's not that hard of just a lot over there, so people don't have to worry. It's not good, but I can always stay away from that because a lot of people mix.
You must love butterflies.
I do.
Every time I see you have a butterfly on.
I have 1,000 images.
I always have butterflies on or somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere on my body.
I'm obsessed with them. I
You have them in your house?
I have stars with butterflies. I have pins with jewelry with butterflies.
I do. I love them. I mean, I can get up in the morning and I'm on Facebook and somebody puts a butterfly. I'm almost like, shit.
I know, that's me. And every time my friends see butterflies, they send me pictures and they're just like,
My family, my sister said, she said, oh, I was in, she lives in Dallas. I said, I was sure I had this little cheek, so I sent it to you. But anything with butterflies.
I have this magnet on my fridge that even says, if there was no change, there would be any butterflies.
I know.
I love that stuff.
When people say, well, how do I know your house? I said, there's a butterfly. Well, got a welcome butterfly.
Oh, that's great.
And just, I don't want to do it for one day, but one experience, and working on, because I just want customers to control women. And DC shows, like, one show I was doing, a lot of people shop, shop, I would love to do that. Would you want to be in a show? Yeah, because I want to, it was back in high school, one time they had a show, and then they created auction sites, and now, etc. And I'm like, oh, you can do that.
Cheryl, we got our class approved for 5 hours of senior years for the retreat. Is there anything else that you need besides people bringing their here? If there's something, we already got a website, access.
I need to, because I have a Mac, so my computer is like a different projector. Is it like the projector?
I don't know, if they're cooking business, but
Okay.
tell me what you need so I can tell them.
I just need somehow to connect my computer to the Mac to the projector.
I'll send them an email and I'm sure, it couldn't be
And the other day, I was out and I didn't get a chance to read it.
Was it just the one that told you where I had you as far as educational design?
I think it's okay, as long as it's nothing I have to
No,
like.
it's not even you have to do it, it's just actually showing you that this was the last year they approved for the.
Oh, right.
I still don't know how many people, she said 25, but I still don't know.
How long is it?
I think I've got it down to 60 minutes to do whatever you want to do in 60 minutes.
When you go to a room like that, it's 45, they'll probably charge you. They'll charge, unless the room's already set up, it's training deals.
Definitely. I'll check, but if it's a part of the church.
Yes, it depends on what the rooms are set up with, you know, computers. But like I said, if no, you know, depends on what else they're doing in the room that day.
Well, supposedly, see, we got all day. pre-conference retreat, so.
Just need to ask them what audio visual they're providing.
That's what they told me, so, but I don't know, I didn't know about this was the background. Projector.
Okay, so you're gonna, okay.
Access to the website, internet.
Yeah, I know you said you're a big business man.
But I was
Okay. Yeah, as long as there is that, there's never one here, so I can never put my computer to it. But I think I actually have a, I took this show on the road and we had a projector, and I remember like running to get to sing. But I'm pretty sure from that day I had an adapter. But I'll check. Yeah, I have all these like speaking engagements. Never expected that.
I was so excited when they started making
They call me yesterday.
because I had originally had gotten a little while ago video that original single album, but well, we're also looking at so I'm, you know, I can play the record again, but still, whenever I go to Jack, I'm always trying to tell somebody else the main I know absolutely nothing about the but I can sing any song from the 60s.
The only reason why I know about the
Oh yeah, I recognize this theme. It's I mean, it looks like one of the themes that I purchased through
So I guess the question is, you know, looking at this, layout.
Jazz, even jazz.
To me, it's a lot. I'm like, I honestly, I don't want to read it. I'm like, leave, empower, opportunity, vision, because they're bold and they're caps. But I mean, honestly, it's like, oh my God.
And I guess that's because she was
How long have you been in BOCI?
Yeah, I mean, and this is it. It's like if you're just using the people that you want to it, then you know, it's whatever. They already know about you, but if you're trying to draw people in that you don't know,
I wish I had known about it.
there's many things I would suggest to yeah, I would definitely keep it a little lower. If you really want to get into your personal philosophy, you can even have a drop down where it says like about, and then it'll say like about and philosophy.
Really good.
Sir. Right.
Everybody else is like,
yeah, right, exactly. I have that fine portfolio. And you could easily say like about, and then drop anything about Brenda, about Lexi.
Our web portal is so huge, I'm directly on our web portal.
You know,
to me, yes, it doesn't define her.
Right.
We got a million-page web
And it's
portal.
written in the personal, not
I found that.
It definitely to me is like she's gonna
Last
shine
week when we were in
and when you feel like
Kansas
someone's
City
really selling something, you're here
for a conference
you have
training
to first
session,
trust them.
I didn't realize we
That's
had a
the
million
trust
web
gap you have
pages.
for
Close to $30 million website.
it starts out right.
We have a huge
Yeah.
site
And
web.
these things are great, they're so easy
Yeah.
to work with.
You gotta have
Yeah, there's,
some
I mean, her
power.
website's okay.
See, I got it so
I don't know why
live
she
right
doesn't
now.
use that picture. Because she has it for her mom. Professional picture's pretty good. Yeah, like that. That's pretty good. It's a big start, but I would think she should use her picture. It looks like her Facebook picture, you know what I mean? I don't know her, but it looks like
How'd you pull that up? You want a live stream? Is it on Facebook?
Well, I'm ready to put it out there.
Oh, yeah, those yeah, that's great. That's a really interesting way to do it. I've never really seen something where it's just listed as days, but that's really cool. It's really, it doesn't have to be that complicated. Use the webcam in your.
Okay, so I'll want to give you that.
I'm helping others.
I mean, I can sing along, you know.
What I would do is Google, like, weight loss coach, or, you know, so you can see the people that come up first. Those are gonna be like the top dollars.
Yeah, because.
I mean, my understanding of what my stepsister's saying, she's not she'll start her own saying
I sat down with BOCI Cruise online and they're doing like.
We went to UStream.tv.
Yeah, you can actually get a free account.
I mean, don't run for like HR and you know,
The free account from the first course is BOCI.
very
Try.
I'm all about like raw food now. Yeah. So I mean everything's raw. Raw caramel, sauce, raw brownies, raw this, raw what I do is I blend. Everything's dates and nuts. It's like you blend up like dates and cashews, and then I put in some almond flour to make it a little more fluffy, and cacao powder, vanilla,
Well, you have a lot of
Comfort Care Coalition.
Yeah. And put it in the freezer, and then be like,
Healthy Memphis Roundtable.
I wanted you all to know that I purchased some
you can make any
free biscuits
from that's where you get the nutrients from, you know.
resident.
If you cook it,
If anybody wants a gluten-free biscuit,
They're like Red Lobster's cheddar.
they're just like raw Red Lobster's cheddar.
We're buying.
Anybody want a gluten-free biscuit?
I will test it. I do.
Oh.
I haven't ever had them.
These are from Sara Hanley.
Wheat belly.
Have you seen,
A friend of mine's on that.
Whoa.
Anyway. Okay. You all get the one?
They look how where? Oh yeah.
Let's bring our little break to a halt here. It's been a wonderful break. I think everybody's had a wonderful time to network. I just had to do that. Sara Hanley is an amazing cook. She has an amazing story about how she became mindful and aware of food with her, and I want to bring you up here up front for a second. Sara has just recently had a makeover by one of our premier image consultants here in Memphis, and that's Carolyn Bendel. And her story has been featured, or will be featured, or has been featured?
It has been.
Has been featured this last Sunday on the Commercial Appeal. So another one of the benefits of being a member of BOCI.
Exactly.
And an additional benefit, of course, is that she always provides us with a wonderful snack. And today I robbed you all of that snack, so now I have to share it with you.
Oh, thank you.
So with no further ado, let's go back to our wonderful educational series for BOCI and Cheryl Hurley.
Okay, so now that we have the About page we're gonna talk about a contact page, which is gonna be your second static page. And really your contact page is very simple. It's really just how people will email you. But you don't wanna put your email address on your page, because then you will get spammed constantly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, spam bots will find your email address that's out there on the internet, and they will put you on different lists, and it's no good. So
So don't put your, okay.
right. So what we have, and it's on both of my blogs, because we don't have a projector, and because we can't all do it right now anyway. There's a plugin on WordPress that will do this for you. I'm sure you've seen them before. It says name, email address, and then like comment or message or whatever. And that's just a contact form. So it'll send it to your email address just like a regular email, but it will hide your email address from spam bots. So it's fairly simple to install. I won't really go over the details of that because I mean you'll have to get into it on your own anyway. But what I did is I just created a sort of how-to on the step-by-step of installing that. And you can access that at this URL. So it's not, you have to type that in, it's not advertised anywhere. It's strictly for BOCI and the world.
So this is a how-to, right?
Yes, it's really simple, it's like 4 lines, but it should take you through every single step to install this contact form, access it, create it, and paste the short code into a page. So I'll do all right. And then secondly, because I thought we would cover more territory in each little workshop, but there's so many questions and ideas going on that a lot of the technical stuff we're gonna have to skip over. However, I posted the outline that I've been using to teach on this page. So it'll go over every little topic that we're covering. It has the 4 questions or prompts. It has the fill in the blank, all of that on there that you can access.
And this is for all 3 sessions?
This is just for today.
Just today.
And one thing that you'll see on here is how to create a menu. Has everyone written it down that wants to write it down? Okay. I don't want to be talking to.
Is it necessary to be a member to access this? Because I haven't joined yet.
No, this is just my social media marketing page.
Thank you.
So, okay, so now that you have the about page and the contact page, how are people gonna get to it? Depending on the theme that you're using for WordPress, it may already have an about page and you really just fill in the blanks there. Just go to the about page and customize it. But if you're starting from scratch, or if your theme doesn't have that, you'll have these pages, but you need to create a navigation bar, which I'm sure all of you have seen. It's right under the title. It would say John's towing service, and then it would say home, about, menu of services, contact. That's the navigation bar. So to do that, I'll just quickly kind of tell you guys how to do it. It is on this URL, this page. It's really fairly simple. So what you need to do is create a menu, and you do that from the WordPress dashboard, which is where you go to write your posts and create your pages and all of that stuff. So it's really as simple as you click on appearance, which is in the sidebar column on the left. You just click on appearance, and then it'll open, a drop-down menu, and you click menus, and then up at the very, right in the middle, there's a plus sign, and that will allow you to create a new menu. So let's see, I'm gonna make one right now. And then you'll see, if you go a little bit down, it says pages, and if you click those, click the pages that you want to be on your menu, and then say add to menu, and then save your menu. That's really it. But it's not inherent logic. So that's why I kind of went through that with you guys. But it is on here, so you can access that there. And if you have any questions at all about any of this stuff, I don't mind answering emails. I'm on my phone all day anyway. My email address, right? It's Cheryl@sqmodernmedia.com. It's pretty simple.
Oh, okay, it's on your card.
Oh, yeah, and it's on card. So if you have anything that you want to ask me, just feel free to shoot me an email. So, okay, we're finally going to get to the writing now, which is really the meat of your blog. But you have to have all of those other things so that your website makes sense and it explains you and it brands you well. So, with the writing, you can just sit down and like spew words out of your brain. But it wouldn't make for like the best blog ever. So you do have to follow some sort of structure and some sort of system. And depending on your writing style and how comfortable you are with writing, your system and your outlines will vary. Like I personally, because I've been blogging for 10 years, I don't have to write outlines anymore. Unless there's something like a mega blog. I have a few mega blogs that are like, I worked on these blogs for like weeks, you guys, like you better read them and like them because I mean I spent some time on them, but like I wrote a complete guide to your first Thanksgiving in November, and it's like 5,000 words long. It's really long. It's like every recipe that you possibly need, like a detailed timeline of when you do all this stuff, like put the mashed potatoes in 15 minutes. I mean, it's like so detailed. So for that, I wrote like 5 outlines. So any time that you really need the information to be just really informative and not to develop that relationship with you, which a lot of times is what your blog is doing, I would recommend writing an outline. And especially starting out with a blog, because it can seem like a journal a lot of times, or like writing on Facebook, I would definitely recommend that outline. So what you need to do is think, what story am I telling? You know, even if you're just sharing information, telling a story will allow people to relate to it. So you have to think, what is the story that I'm telling? And then think, what's the most interesting part? What's the hook? How long is this going to be? Is it going to be 5,000 words long? Probably not. I would recommend anywhere from 300 to 800 words. 500 is a good, like, meaty medium. But Sherry, her blogs are pretty much 300 words or less. That's just her style. I'm a little more verbose, obviously. So I tend to at least get to 500. But knowing how long you want it will affect your outline, how much you can cover, and generally how you're going to present it. And because a blog is constantly changing, take a story, and you can take a little piece of it and make a blog out of that. You don't have to tell your entire life story in one blog, because if you do, you won't have anything to write about the next day. So little bits and pieces, and if you want people to be reading this blog regularly, it can be like a novel. So think about all of those things. Look at your story. Think about, what's the point? What am I trying to convey? And what I like to remind my clients is anything that you talk about on Facebook, on Twitter, on your blog, on any social media platform, what you're saying needs to be at least one of these things. entertaining, informative, or helpful. If it can be all three, that's great. But as long as it's one of three, you'll be okay. I have a tendency to write about personal stories on my personal blog. I originally started writing those just because I was like, I'll just put it out there and it'll help me have accountability, and it turned out to be the most read post that I had ever written because people thought it was entertaining. Like, they thought my personal life was entertaining. Whatever. And anytime, Shelly Bauer's not here, but anytime she's here and we're talking about my blog, she always mentions, like, I don't think she ever reads my recipes or like my social media. She's like, I remember that time that, oh, you know, he dropped you off at that trolley station. I'm like, oh, Shelly, like, you didn't read my turkey recipe? Okay, good.
Into relationships.
Right. She thinks it's so funny that I refer to my fiance as oh, and she says I curse sometimes. I'm like, Shelly, because I say like crap sometimes. Anyway. So apparently, at least to Shelly, talking about it is entertaining. But if it were really just me whining about something and it weren't entertaining, it didn't tell you anything. There was no information there, and it wasn't helpful to you, you wouldn't want to read it. You would read it and be like, get over it, you know? But entertainment has a lot of different facets. If it's funny, if it's relatable, those are all entertaining things. Or if you just really like the tone, if you feel like you're talking to a friend, that would also qualify as entertaining. When it comes to informative, that's, I mean, pretty obvious. If you have information and you're sharing it, like 5 ways to boost your business on Pinterest, for me, would be an informational post. I recently wrote about how much I love athletes in commercials and why it works and all of that. And that would qualify more as entertainment and informative because it's providing a basis for marketing campaigns. But I'm in no way going to say that that was purely informative. It was mostly just me showing off my favorite awesome commercials. So, and then finally, something that's helpful, this really is more about social media, but it can definitely apply in blogs. Providing little tips and things like that, that's really informative. That's really sharing information and knowledge that you have with other people. But if you have something that can help someone, if you have like, you know, a lot of times on social media, if you provide coupons or you like link to coupons or like promotions and things like that, people are into that. Like, they're really into it. So keep those 3 things in mind anytime you're writing a blog or posting on social media. So your point needs to be one of those things. So when you decide what your story is, if it's one of those things, go with it. Then create an outline. And what you really want to do is put the hook at the beginning, because there's so many blogs. There's millions and millions and millions of blogs. There's like some amount of millions of blogs created every single day. So you're competing with a lot. And your readers, I mean, their attention can easily be spent elsewhere, but you want to draw them in here. So a really super simple way of doing that is by asking sort of like, not rhetorical questions, but I mean, when you ask a question like, do you want to boost your business with social media? You're like, yeah, I mean, obviously I do. By asking these questions, that it shows, I know you want these things, but I'm going to tell you how to do it. It's developing a way to explain what your blog will be about in a way that's not, this blog is about boosting your business with social media. It sort of creates that interaction implicitly. So that's a really great way of doing it. And it's Social Media Examiner, I'm pretty sure, is the blog that, yes, okay. Every single blog that Social Media Examiner posts, there's like you know, several, like loads of people who are writing these blogs. But the one guy who started Social Media Examiner, he reads every blog and he develops those questions to start every single blog. So the one that's most recent, do you want more leads? Have you looked into SlideShare? I mean, who doesn't want more leads? You know? The next one, does your business have a LinkedIn company page? Have you noticed how other businesses are using LinkedIn lately? Do you run contests on Facebook? Would you like to make your Facebook contest stand out? So if you run a contest on Facebook, you're like, well, yeah, obviously I do. But because of those two simple questions, I know exactly what this post is about. And I'm hooked because I feel like, okay, if I read this, I'm gonna learn something. I'm gonna learn how to make my, my Facebook contest stand out. If you're writing something that's purely entertaining, you don't necessarily need that hook in the form of a question, but you do need some sort of hook. And because I come from a literary background, mine are a little bit more like out there, but however it is that you can convey, this is worth reading, put that at the beginning so that people are immediately like, I'm gonna read this. You don't have to, you know, waste 3 paragraphs before you realize, like, I don't even want to read this. People aren't going to spend that much time on you. They're just not. Okay, so, was there a question? Oh.
I've got a question. Maybe I missed this in the previous sections, but what I don't understand is how do people find you in your blog?
Okay. That is the next section, so you didn't but up until this point, there's no blog. So when you write your first blog, there are definitely things you need to do. And that's the only way your blog is going to survive, in my opinion, until it becomes like a household name. There are blogs out there that they don't need to promote because people just know about them. But your blog is not like that. My blog is not like that, not yet. So when it comes to the writing, Melinda made a very good point earlier that shorter paragraphs are better. So you can write, you know, 500 words of copy that really fits into like 4 paragraphs in a literary sense, but it's just going to be too heavy. It's going to be too visually heavy. So break those things up. My fiance writes a sports blog, and he is an attorney, so I have to edit every single blog that he writes. So he writes these like paragraphs that are like this big, and I have to go in, and he says his writing is very stilted, and it's not, I don't know why I'm like totally trashing him on Google Hangout, but anyway.
It's very lawyer-like, and it's very precise
Yes.
for his particular profession.
Absolutely, that's a better way of
We
putting
always
it.
reframe with laughter lawyer.
So yeah, he doesn't write like he talks. You know, he has these very long-winded sentences, and they go on and he says, I will not and I cannot, and it's not natural. And the point of a blog is to inject your personality into what you're writing. That's how people are going to get to know you. So if you sit here in any other situation, if we were talking and it weren't like you were asking me for advice and I just kept talking and talking and I was saying all these things about what you need to do, you would think I was so obnoxious. You have to break it down. You know, it is a conversation. It's like you're having that conversation with your reader, even though you're putting it out there and they're just reading it, you're still having that conversation. So break up your paragraphs. You know, they're not even paragraphs, they're just like chunks of text that make sense. So, oh my God, there's like 20 paragraphs in here. But what I tend to do in his blog, well, I wrote a blog for his blog, and here's a paragraph. But if the results aren't enough for you, it's time to do something differently. That's a paragraph. Next paragraph. Enter the Memphis Grizzlies and our new ownership. Next paragraph. Over the last few years, we've gotten better. We're filling the stadium. We're reliably making the playoffs. The fans are more used to winning than losing. Next paragraph. And then I have like 3 sentences in that next paragraph. But breaking it up, it's just so much easier to read. It's like reading dialogue. And I don't know if you remember in school when you had to read a book, but when there was a huge chunk of dialogue, you were like, yes, I'll get through this page so much faster. So keep that in mind. To break it up, it'll make it so much easier on your readers. And then secondly, write like you talk. that's how people are gonna feel like they know you.
And I guess what I'm hearing, and I don't, it's almost like there is somebody interacting on the other end that's reading this.
Right.
So almost give them a time to pause or think before you.
Right, it's.
Tell them the next step.
Right, it's very much like, it's like it's essentially, I mean, I don't even know how to explain this, but.
It's almost like bullet form.
A lot of times
because a lot of people
it is.
scan.
When you have numbers or bullets or anything like that, people are like so much more into it. If it's how to boost your business and it's several paragraphs, it's like, why didn't you just 5 ways to boost your business? I'd be like so into that. And that's just the way people are. They like it to be laid out for them. They don't want to have to hunt for the information because they can find it somewhere else. So that's a great point. And that's definitely a type of post that's very effective. So when you're writing any of these posts, make sure that you're writing in a not necessarily like casual conversational tone, unless you're describing your experience and your goals and your philosophy. When it's about you and it's about your feelings, you can have that casual conversational tone. But when you're trying to be informative or even entertaining, you don't want it to be too casual and too conversational, but it needs to sound like you're talking. It needs to sound like you're presenting something to a class or to a workshop. And even in those situations, you're not gonna say, and then you are going, I mean, look, I don't know, I can't even speak like that, but use contractions and create your sentences so that some are short and some are long and it's not dry. You know, I mean, it's very hard to explain how to do this without showing you something. But when you read it back, ask yourself, does this sound like someone's talking, or does it sound like I'm reading a legal brief? And if it sounds like the latter, go back and call me, and we'll work on it. Okay, so on to what Melinda was talking about. When it comes to different types of posts, there are those posts that work really well, and they can be great inspiration for when you need to write but you don't really know what to write about. So a number of ways to do anything. Is a great post. Number of reasons why you should do this. Anything like that where you can organize your thoughts into like an outline, literally an outline for your readers. People love that because they really feel like if there's 5 ways of building my business with Pinterest, those are things I can do right now. And it's, you know, it's like those like speakers, like motivational speakers that like scam people. They talk forever, but they don't say anything. And when you have like 5 ways of doing something, they know that's not gonna happen. So that's a great post. Always an effective post. But for now, let's move on to a few more things. One thing that I definitely recommend is installing a plugin called WordPress SEO, which is essentially, it kind of guides you along into making your post search engine friendly. So that just means people are more likely to find it by searching for a certain keyword. So you set your keyword, like I'm gonna write about Pinterest for business, and that would be my keyword, even though it's a phrase. Repeating that phrase will boost my search engine results. But if you repeat it too much, then it's clear that you're writing for the search engine, and you don't want to do that. You want to write for the person, but you want to acknowledge that the search engine can be your best friend or totally be on your bad side. So that plugin will easily allow you to do that. It's like literally a green, orange, and like red light.
So basically tells you when you have enough keywords.
Exactly, right. It does. It makes it really, really simple. So I would recommend installing that, and don't write for SEO, because it won't be personal and it won't be you, but use the plugin. So that balance is necessary. And then lastly, we only have a few more minutes left, but like you were saying, how do people find my blog? And this is where social media is so necessary. How many of you have a Facebook page?
Sort of. How many of you are active on your Facebook page? Yeah.
Right, I mean, you know, and so you have a Facebook page. You have an audience built in. How many of you have a Facebook page for your business? Okay, right, so you have the audience built in. You gotta get one. And that's gonna be the #1 place to start promoting your blog, is where you already have an audience. How many of you have a Twitter account? All right.
How many of you use it?
Yeah. That again is another place that's perfect to promote your blog. But if you look around the room, the majority of people have these accounts. So it's such an amazing way to reach the majority of the country and the world. Almost everyone is on social media. They just are. And if you find a way to find them, then you can express your message to them through social. So every time you post, every single time, you have to promote it. If you don't promote it, people will still find it if you have an audience that's been reading your blog, but if you don't, no one's gonna read it. They're just not. Like when my fiance, he writes his little sports blog, and he just started fairly recently, but when he writes it and he doesn't promote it, there's like no hits, like none. I wrote the guest blog on there, and I promoted it on all of my platforms. I promoted it on my blog, and his hits were like, phew, you know, because people don't know about something. They can't find it. You can't hold it against them if they don't know it's even there. So promotion is absolutely huge for your blog. So definitely Twitter, definitely Facebook. And the best time to post on Facebook is non-work hours, which may seem strange because we all know people at work are on Facebook, but everyone's on Facebook from like 8 to 9:30. And when I post something at that time, it gets so much more traffic than if I posted it during the day, which I did for a very long time. I posted at like 11 every day because I was like, people are on their phone doing whatever, and they weren't. But all of the research said, post during the day, post at 11 a.m., and it just didn't work for me. And I've done this for several clients, so I don't think it's just me. But when you post at night or on the weekends, people tend to see it more. I mean, I know that from my own Facebook analytics, from clients' analytics. It definitely gets more of a reach. Mm-hmm.
So what do you think about the things that'll schedule posts for you?
Good question. With Facebook is constantly fighting us, it seems like. They're constantly changing things and just making it difficult for people to promote their stuff without paying because they don't have a business model. But because of that, Facebook will drastically reduce your reach if you post from a different platform. So, how many of you have heard of Hootsuite or TweetDeck?
And have used it.
Okay.
Stopped using it for that very reason.
Yeah. If you, essentially what Hootsuite is it aggregates all of your social media platforms and allow you to post from one single dashboard. And it's super convenient. And I love it. I tweet from Hootsuite and all of that. But with Facebook, if you post from Hootsuite, Facebook will say, well, you don't want to use our platform, well, we'll show you, or something. I don't understand why they do this, but they do. And your post will reach so fewer people.
How does they do that? I mean, they have some kind of way to.
Oh yeah.
To make a limit on it.
Yeah. Another thing that Facebook does, this is kind of a small.
I guess my recommendation was if you need to post the blog, and you can't be on at that particular time, it's better than nothing.
Right.
But they're, you know, because they are limiting you, it's better if you can do it yourself.
You can, from your business page, schedule posts also. So you can schedule a post just like in Hootsuite. If it's on your personal page, you can't do that. And in that case, if you're not gonna be around at an opportune time, it's better to schedule it on Hootsuite. But if at all possible, when your blog posts, take that link and schedule it for that night on your Facebook page from your Facebook page. And another thing, it's kind of a small, picky thing, but onto your note, Facebook also, if you know, like when you put a link in and you click enter, it'll bring up a preview. It says like, this is what your page looks like, right? If you do that, you'll have less views than if you click out of that and put a picture. So
Okay, say that again, I'm sorry.
Okay, so when you put a link in, so if you were gonna say like 5 ways to boost your business with Pinterest, and then you put http://5 ways.
So in other words, if you do the link thing where the picture pops up.
When it pops up, yeah, as soon as you put that link in, a picture will pop up to show you what the webpage looks like, or a picture from it. And if you post it like that, you'll still get some hits because you're doing it from Facebook, but you will have less views because Facebook controls what you see. I mean, because they give the priority to people who are paying and things like that. If you leave it as is, it will be pushed to fewer people. So what you should do, if you're crazy like me and care, click out of that link preview, and then
like no preview.
Right, like completely click out of the preview, and add a picture that was in your blog manually.
Because you have to upload it to your Facebook page.
Right, exactly. So, because posts with pictures get pushed more than posts without pictures, but posts with link previews have a picture, but it's not considered a picture. It's so complicated.
So you're saying that you want to upload all your pictures into your...
Just like if, let me see if I can find an example. Just a picture from the blog. So that it makes some sense. I mean, you don't have to. You could post a picture of like your business if you don't have a picture at all. But when I wrote proof that Twitter works for businesses and 5 tips for following, and this was the picture. It was a screenshot that I had from. I got an email from someone following me for Twitter, and I immediately signed up. So I put the link in. I said, proof that Twitter works for business and 5 top tips for following. Put the link in, clicked X'd out of the link preview, and uploaded this picture. I clicked over to where it says photo, add a photo, upload a photo, and I uploaded this picture and posted it like that. So, thanks Facebook. So that's.
Okay, so you're saying if I was writing something and then I put my business address and then it gave the link down there, that's going out to less people than if I just posted the link and put my own picture. Gotcha.
Yes. Okay, so we only have a couple minutes left, but really quickly, I just wanted to explain a couple things. If you have a business that's remotely visual at all, like even for you, I would say definitely, Pinterest is an amazing platform. They say that within a couple years, 41% of purchases from social media will come from Pinterest. And I mean, Pinterest is my favorite platform by far. But I mean, it doesn't work for everyone. However, if you build up a great following on Pinterest and you pin your image, your own image, to your Pinterest account and send it out to your followers, it will get repinned if it's good, you know. One thing I found recently is longer images are more pinnable.
Yeah.
And every time I write text on my images, they get pinned more. So I do like a wedding blog because we're getting married soon. I do it on Wednesdays because wedding Wednesdays. And I'm doing all this inspiration, so I do all these pictures together. And when I do that, like I get repinned. But when I write wedding day beauty, red lips, I mean it's like crazy. It's like totally
So
viral.
you're
It's very
writing
weird.
the text actually on the picture?
Yeah, I'll show you. I write at the top, but you know, you've seen recipes, I'm sure, that show the food and then it says like clean eating Swedish meatballs.
Yeah, well, how are they doing that?
Just in Photoshop or something.
Okay, they're doing it in Photoshop. Okay, that's what.
And if you don't have Photoshop, you can use.
I use paint.net. It's free.
Pixlr is my favorite.
GIMP.com is free also.
So like I added the text up there and it just immediately tells people what it's about, what it's for, what the general idea is.
That's a cool idea.
I just started doing it and I just noticed, I mean, I get repinned constantly when I do that.
Yeah.
So. And it's very, 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 very long.
Yeah.
Because I can never choose, but.
Did you do those photos?
I put them together
Okay.
and like take the pictures.
Yeah.
I wish. Okay, so definitely use Pinterest for that, and people are so visual that things can become viral very easily when you make it simple for them, and Pinterest is the ultimate in that. Last thing I have to say, a great way to promote your blog is by finding other bloggers that are sort of in your industry and commenting on their blogs, because you're going to find the people that are reading blogs that are interested in that industry, and they're going to be seeing your comments. Always link to your blog. Always, always, always. There's no point in commenting if people can't find you. So when I was really working on my fashion blog, I would go to like 20 a day. I mean, granted, I'm different, you know, a little crazy sometimes when it comes to social. I would go to like 20 a day and comment on their blog. And I would write http thestylistquote.com, and I would monitor the stats that I got. I would get very like hefty percentages would come from those blogs, from me saying something that people are like, oh, she must know what she's talking about. So like I, you know, like truly fooled them. But regardless, they were looking at my blog and they would keep coming back. So that's a great way of promoting your blog also. So that's it.
I enjoyed that.
If you have any questions about anything, feel free to email me and I'll get back to you very quickly. Oh, and just as an aside, my business does offer total social media solutions. So anything that you need, I would love to talk to you about. Anywhere from coaching to branding to actual management to content creation, the whole gamut.
I notice you have different emails for